Good afternoon. In this video, I'm going to look at chapter 11, Hebrews chapter 11, and shows how it totally destroys the faith work system of PBI, Ruckman, Robert Breaker, Gene Kim, Hoffman, John Davis, Andrew Sluter, Brian Dengler. All these guys out there preaching that there's a faith work system in the Old Testament and there's a faith work system in the tribulation. According to them, Book of Hebrews is not written to the church. Book of Hebrews is written to the tribulational saints. And yet in Hebrews 11, what do you have? It is impossible to please God without faith. No combination faith works. It's impossible to please God without faith and works. No. The issue says by faith these works were done. What did the works show? The works showed their faith. In fact, in Ruckman's Bible, reference Bible, what does he put down here? Faith of Abel manifested by his sacrifice. What is James 2 talking about? James 2 is about showing your faith. It's not about the fact that you have to do something in order to be saved. And the works are part of your faith. The works show your faith. The faith is the root. You don't see the root of the tree. You see the tree. Now, let me read his footnote. Let me read his footnote on this. And how deceptive this guy is. What a liar. They all are. Because they can't get around this. Their system is incoherent. It's contradictory. It contradicts itself. When you see guys have to contradict themselves, they're liars. And I don't care what else you think about them. Oh, he's great on this, he's great on that. Look at their system, what they're teaching. If they're teaching contradictions, you can't trust them. The Bible doesn't contradict itself. Hebrews 11. Ruckman will say in other areas, oh, Adam and Noah and Abraham will say by, just like you, by faith alone, by grace through faith. Ephesians 2:8. He'll say that. But then he'll say, well, their faith needs to be perfected. See, it's a different faith because their faith had to be perfected. But he uses Ephesians 2:8-9 because it's not of works. So where do the works come in? They never mention Lot. What works were perfected with Lot? What works were perfected with Enoch? They don't tell you. They just hope to keep you deceived and lying and throwing up a bunch of smoke. But God put Hebrews 11 in there, Hebrews chapter 11 in there for a purpose. Ruckman's going to go in here by talking about faith. He says, oh, faith, word faith is only mentioned twice in the Old Testament. Well, in the New Testament, he's showing them about faith. The word trust is used in the Old Testament. But faith is used, he's showing us now. He says, in case there's any confusion about how the Old Testament saints were saved and how they performed the things they did, I'm going to clarify that in Hebrews 11. But that's not enough. That's not enough for these guys. That's not enough for these guys. So let me read his footnote on this. Faith is never blind. It is tangible. Even if the object of faith is not seen, it manifests itself through some medium, the evidence, and becomes so real in the substance that it can be laid a hold of. As an example, in Abraham's case, Romans 4:16-20. Now, faith is never blind. It's based on evidence. It's based on evidence. And in fact, that's what they use Hebrews 11:1. That's what Breaker does and say it's going to be works alone in the millennium. Works alone, no faith. No faith. Because Christ will be seen. So you say, well, there's no faith. No. And in another place, Ruckman will say, well, they're not saved. The millennial, those who revolted at the millennium won't save because they didn't trust in Christ. For which is it? They don't want you to know. That's why they get upset when you point out these contradictions. True faith sees proof of God's love at difficult times, sees the love of God manifested in distress and trials, sees the wisdom of God's decisions amidst suffering, sees the ruling hand of God amidst anarchy and confusion, subjects itself to God without criticism, and acknowledges the value of suffering as a means of education. Now here's a comment on 11.2. The entire chapter deals with displays of faith in the lives of Old Testament saints. Displays. That's what James 2 is talking about. Abraham displaying his faith. Oh, he had to do that to perfect his faith. No, he hadn't done it to perfect his faith. He showed he had a perfected faith. Because it says here in Hebrews 11 why he did it. Because he knew God would raise up that son Isaac. He wasn't worried about it. It showed his, and we didn't perfect the faith, but that wasn't what saved Abraham. Abraham was growing. It was a growth issue, not a salvation issue. Just let all. Now notice that word all. Now listen to this, people. Get this. When these guys are lying to you and they want to put up a book out, King James only revised dispensationalism, and try to pretend that the old dispensationalists, classical dispensationalists, believe what they did, or laid the groundwork for what they did. And we'll revise. See, they're dismantling the revised dispensationalists. Now we get to the point where he says, this is Ruckman here, see, Kim wants you to believe, Schofield and Larkin and these other guys, Sawa and, and all these guys. Oh, no, they believe like we did. They believe that there was a faith work system in the Old Testament. Ruckman doesn't say that here. He says, he has this letter, all fundamentalists, conservatives, and evangelicals to conclude that salvation was by grace through faith in the Old Testament. Imagine that. Imagine that. Ruckman mentioned that. All fundamentalists, conservatives, and evangelicals to conclude. So who's out of whack, people? Who are the heretics? Who are the ones taking up a new path, saying, oh no, it's a combination of faith works in the Old Testament. Combination of faith works in tribulation. Because if you don't take the mark, that's a work. Why don't you take the mark in the tribulation? Because God doesn't allow them to be deceived. That's the grace of God. And so they show their faith by not taking the mark. And no saved person will take the mark. That's they can't stand that idea. They say, well, that's impossible. No, it's not impossible. God's going to protect them from taking the mark. The people who take the mark are deceived in doing so. This is laid off fundamentalists, conservative, and evangelicals to conclude that salvation was by grace through faith in the Old Testament, just like it is in the New Testament, Ephesians 2:8-9. We'll go to his commentaries. He'll tell you Adam, Noah, and Abraham will say, according to Ephesians 2:8-9, people. That's what Ruckman will tell you. Because they were before the law. So he'll say, oh yeah, they were saved by grace through faith. Then he'll put some nonsense in about whether their faith was perfected. What did Adam have to do? What work did Adam have to do? Nothing. Nothing we're told about. The word faith, now they switch around and switch argument. Now it's the word. Not the issue, not the meaning of the word, but the word. Now that's become the issue. Like that, the word trust is a synonym for faith. We're being told by God himself in the scriptures what they did is through faith. And Ruckman is denying it. Do you understand what he's doing here? He's denying it. God tells them. God tells you it's faith. He's going to tell you, he's going to show you, oh yeah, the word faith isn't mentioned but twice. God's saying, well, it doesn't matter what's mentioned now. I'm telling you how they did it by faith. But we know, of course, it's through trusting. But the issue is, here's the word. Well, but it's only mentioned twice in the Old Testament. What do I care? God just showed us in the New Testament how they did it, by faith. So Ruckman is denying what God is telling us from the Old Testament. He's revealing something. Progressive revelation. The word faith now occurs only twice in the Old Testament. So what? The word trust occurs hundreds of times. Deuteronomy 32:20, Habakkuk 2:4, and the reference in Deuteronomy refers to the lack of faith. Yeah, so what does that have to do with Hebrews 11? God is now showing us something. Is he denying that they didn't do this by faith? Just because the word faith isn't showing up? That's what he's trying to pull on you. Compare that with the word occurring 250 times in the New Testament. So what? What does that do to Hebrews 11? Hebrews 11 just showed us that God is showing us what they did in the Old Testament, and he uses the word faith. This is an attack on the Scriptures. This is telling you, don't believe what God tells you in Hebrews 11, believe what I tell you, to look at the word faith. The only time faith shows up in Hebrews and in the Old Testament is twice. So therefore, what? They didn't have faith? Hebrews 11 is telling us they did have faith. Just the word trust was used instead of the word faith. The faith of the Old Testament faith saint was different from the faith of the New Testament saint. See note on Habakkuk 2:4. And really, it means nothing. The faith to get saved in the Old Testament is the same faith you had to get in the New Testament. The consequences were different. The walk was different. But you believe what God told you about the gospel, what gospel was revealed to them, and you were saved. Based on what? Based on what the course coming course. Not that they saw the course coming, but they believed what they were told to believe about the course. I mean, Job knew about the resurrection. But they had to believe at least the kingdom gospel. They believed that there was a seed coming. And they broke it up into two aspects. They broke the suffering Messiah and the ruling Messiah. And of course, the kingdom gospel combined the two. And when the Jews rejected Christ, it was split. The kingdom of God went to the church, which is a spiritual kingdom. The kingdom of heaven is still going to be a Jewish kingdom under David. But they had to have faith. The works had nothing to do with it. It showed the faith. And perfection of faith has to deal with their walk, has to deal with their growth, has to deal with their maturity. That's why Lot is what? According to Ruckman, right? He's a type of a New Testament saint who has nothing at the judgment seat of Christ. A backslidden New Testament saint. Well, that's right. And we know he's a righteous man, justified, godly. Israel, remember the curse couldn't be put on Israel, despite all their sins. Why? Because God saw them as righteous. Couldn't curse who God had blessed. The faith of the Old Testament saints had to be accompanied by doing something God told them to do. Faith and works. Why doesn't it say faith and works? See that? He just put that in there. Nowhere here do you see faith and works. Hebrews 11:6 doesn't say without faith and works it's impossible to please God. That's how you should read. But without faith and works it's impossible to please Him. What? No, it doesn't say that. It says without faith it's impossible to please Him. Not faith and works. What do the works do? God wasn't concerned about the works. God was concerned with the faith. You have the faith, it produced the works. One follows necessarily from the other. That was their walk. The only difference was the source of their faith. For us, it's the Holy Spirit. We have to yield to the Holy Spirit, Romans 6:16. And therefore, that is who produces our works, our fruit, bears our fruit. They did not have two natures. Therefore, they were operating on the faith, basically operating from their own efforts, their own belief system, and operating from that. And these guys always try to make a big deal about that. They didn't have two natures. They didn't have, they weren't in union with Christ. How could they have eternal security of being in union with Christ? Well, I don't know. John 10 says they were held in the Father's hand. They won't discuss that. No eternal security. They didn't even know they were saved. Well, I think Max brought that up. So there's a point after, obviously, when they did something that perfected their faith, they must have eternal security then, right? After Abraham offered up Isaac, his faith had perfected that he must have had eternal security then. Right? Wasn't that the whole issue? Okay, well, you have eternal security now. Your faith has been perfected. According to these guys, there's no eternal security in the Old Testament. But they're also saying, well, if your faith is perfected by doing something that God wanted you to do and told you to do, like building the ark and offering your son Isaac, that must mean you have eternal security because you've reached a perfected faith. Well, not supposed to have eternal security in the Old Testament, according to them. I said, no. So which is it? So they can't answer it. That's why they always keep moving you back and forth, taking your eye off the ball. Their eternal security is based on a different issue than our eternal security. Ours is because we're in union with Christ, we're part of His body. Theirs is because of the immutability of God. God can't lie. Once you're a sheep, He's not letting His sheep. He's not going to lose His sheep. So all they're saying is that, there's no eternal security in the Old Testament because they have two natures and they weren't union with Christ. And how could they have eternal security? Well, then, when they got the faith perfected, they must have eternal security. Going along with the salvation. And then welcome to tell you, Abraham was actually saved in Genesis 15. Because he knew what Abraham would do in Genesis 22. Well, he must have eternal security then in Genesis 15. But then it's based on what Abraham does and not who God is, which is impossible. Because it would put God in debt. Let's see. That's what you find throughout this chapter. What do you find without this chapter? You find, here's subheadings. The faith of Enoch manifested by his walk with God. A walk isn't doing anything. A walk is a relationship. A walk is a relationship. And what does the word manifest mean? Shown. The faith was shown that he walked with God. The faith of Noah manifested by his work, by his works. It showed. Building the ark showed his faith. It showed that he had faith. The salvation didn't depend on him building the ark. His eternal salvation. His physical salvation certainly did. But not his eternal salvation. The faith of Abraham manifested by his works. The faith of Moses manifested by his actions. Actions. Not works, actions. The faith of Joshua and Rahab manifested by works. The faith of Old Testament saints manifested by their works. So the word manifest means shown. Go to James 2. And we see faith without works is dead. Why? No one can see it. It's not producing any fruit. It's useless in showing that you're saved. No one can know you're saved if you're not producing fruit. But the fact of the matter is that works have nothing to do with Old Testament salvation. It's very clear by Hebrews 11. He has to add to the Word of God. He has to tell you, don't believe what the word faith only mentioned twice in the Old Testament. Word faith is being shown up here in Hebrews 11. We're being shown in Hebrews 11 that there was faith in the Old Testament. And he wants to go back and, what word faith only mentioned twice in the Old Testament? Like there wasn't faith in the Old Testament. That's what these guys want you to believe. A whole chapter dedicated to showing, to removing the confusion, lest anybody should be confused on what Old Testament saints were saved by and how they performed their miracles and their actions and their works and all the great things they did, lest anybody should be confused. God makes a point. Without faith, it is impossible to please him. And he's going to show you all these great saints. Saints, actually, it's interesting. He's used the word saints here. How's a person being a saint? A saint is someone saved. Use the faith of the Old Testament saints. And that's what they were, Old Testament saints. Old Testament saints, tribulational martyrs going to be saints. They're saved. But here's a whole chapter dedicated to God showing you something, progressive revelation, saying, well, in case you people are confused about those sacrifices and what, the ark and the other things, so let me clarify all that stuff. It was their faith. It was their faith that produced the works. It was their faith that saved them. And welcome us go, wait, faith only mentioned twice in the Old Testament. So that means there was no faith in the Old Testament? That's what one should believe. And it's only one time. It's actually, the lack of faith. Okay, what does that mean? He's denying what Hebrews 11 is telling you. And he has to use the word manifest. The word manifest is showing something. It's showing something. It isn't the perfecting of the faith. It's showing the faith is perfect. It's showing the faith is perfect. The faith had to be there for the work to occur. It wasn't the work that perfected the faith. It was the faith that perfected the work. It showed the work. It showed that I'm doing this. The person is doing it because he believed God. And out from that faith came that work. Just like, that's why Ruckman has in his something, the new faith work system on the New Testament. Yeah, that's what he has in Romans, 12. The con goes on. That's why he's got to say that. That's why this has led all fundamentalists, conservatives, and evangelicals to conclude that salvation was by grace through faith in the Old Testament. And he's admitted himself before the law, that's how it was. Ephesians 2:8-9. That's what he says. With no Adam, no one in Abraham. So then the only place you have is under the law, and of course David was saved by, makes it very clear in Romans 4. So, yeah, he was saved by works. It's just a type. You have to deny Hebrews. And these guys are claiming Hebrews is Old Testament. When the Old Testament people go, into tribulation. Well, it should say faith and works then, people. This is the nonsense you get. This is the nonsense you get from Kim and Robert Breaker. Gene Kim, I can defeat these guys with my one hand tied behind my back. If you deny Scripture. If you deny Scripture. Notice here on the footnote. This is the chapter that made all fundamentalists, conservatives, and evangelicals conclude. Yeah. And then he's going to give you some mumbo jumbo about. But the word faith, well, I don't care what the word was mentioned only twice. Now God is showing us in Hebrews 11. And the word trust, of course, is a synonym for faith. But I don't have to even the word didn't show up any times in the Old Testament. It shows up in Hebrews 11, which is showing us the history. Their works were never part of their salvation. Their works were never part of their eternal security. And they won't be in the future. Because if their works, lest any man should boast. Now, a work isn't doing something, people. That's what these knuckleheads can't figure out. Because they see sacrifices and say, well, you got to do something, you got to do something. You know, sacrifice things. A work is something where you can claim a reward, claim you earn something. The sacrifices were showing their faith. They're displays of their faith. They weren't using them to claim anything. In that sense, doing something isn't a work if it's the source is from faith. But if you're doing something in order to earn something and say, well, I'm going to show, that's Cain. That's Cain. Cain says, I'm not doing what God told me to do. Abel bringing a blood sacrifice was showing his faith. Cain was showing his lack of faith. So when these guys see people doing something in the Old Testament, that's just things that God told them to do in order to show their faith to the rest of the world. That's all it was. That's what God wanted. God wanted to see them go through these rituals as displays of faith. But they added nothing to the faith. They were there because of the faith. So when you have faith and works, what the works are trying to say there is not because faith and then doing something. And say, see, it's a faith work system. They're trying to tell you that these guys did something. Had to do something from their own efforts, not from the faith. That's what they're trying to tell you. Because when we say, well, they had to do something, but it came from their faith. Well, they're not doing it from their work, their flesh. They're doing it because they believe. They're trusting in God. Then it's by grace. But they want to tell you, say, well, if they didn't do this, that's from their own flesh. Like, for instance, they don't take the mark. You say they did something, and then God owes them something. They should both. I didn't take the mark, God. I didn't do it to the end, God. No. It's your faith. And where does that faith come from? From God. God gives the grace not to be deceived. Their eyes are opened. They're protected. And others are martyred. So when it comes to the issue of faith, it's always about God. It's never about man. These guys are trying to bring man into the issue. That's why it's satanic. They contradict themselves. Back and forth, back and forth. And they tell you want to develop a coherent system when even Ruckman had admitted. They remember, up there with the Kings up there trying to say, oh no, and they want to say, we're the revised dispensation. We're not revised. We're following a tradition of the dispensationalists. These guys are wackos. The whole PBI system is so corrupt that it's unbelievable. And all you have to do is go through Ruckman's writings, if anybody's concerned about it. But these guys won't even do. They just hope you don't do it so you can catch the contradictions that Ruckman's always talking about two sides of his mouth. That's what they do. Why do I care if faith is only mentioned twice in the Old Testament? When God is telling us in Hebrews 11 what the saints in the Old Testament were doing was by faith. Where does it ever say that their faith had to be perfected in order for them to be saved? Ruckman made that up. Buckman made that up. But then we'll have subheadings. Abraham's faith manifested. Nowhere under the law did people ever say, yeah, we'll take the law in order for eternal salvation. You think God's going to offer them a deal like that? They can't do it. The offer was to stay in the land, blessing or cursing. It was the issue of, okay, we'll obey these rules and regulations, and it will affect our blessing and cursing. That's what the book of Proverbs was telling you about. It's not about eternal salvation. Then you got to make it eternal salvation because they say, well, you die in your sins, and this, in Ezekiel. And look at Ezekiel. Look at Ezekiel. It's talking about judgment on the land of Jerusalem coming. The glory had left the temple. And the Jews thought they were still protected. And so Jeremiah said the same thing. He says, Jeremiah's talking about, you want to also patriotism. Jeremiah was a patriot. That's why he was called the weeping prophet. But according to these morons, you're not supposed to care about your country. But he wept to see what was going to become of his country and the prophecies going on. And God said, don't even pray for these people. Well, they're done. I'm done with them. And Ezekiel points out the glory had left the temple. That's what you get those first early chapters in Ezekiel. There was nothing there. And what was God doing? Pulling the good people out of Jerusalem. Like Daniel and a bunch of others, he pulled them out and took them to Babylon. And the good people and the bad people are saying, see, the good people are leaving, so God is blessing us. No, he's leaving you, they get destroyed. But nowhere does ever say a faith work system for salvation. It's always faith, and Hebrews 11 shows that. His own subheadings prove that. But he has to deny it and lie to you and try to bring up the issue. Well, faith only mentioned twice. What do I care how many times it's mentioned? We got a whole chapter telling us exactly, progressive revelation, God telling us exactly how these guys operate in the Old Testament. And what they had to do. But these nuts want you to think that under the law, in Exodus 20, when the law was offered, and they said, yeah, we'll do all these things. What does it say? Eternal salvation. What do you think God is going to change his stand? Saying, oh yeah, you got to do this for eternal salvation. When it says clearly no one can get saved under the law. None of these contradictions bother these guys. They don't answer them. They gloss over them. And they give you a bunch of double talk like Ruckman just did. That's what they give you, a bunch of double talk. Like Breaker would do. Like Hoffman would do. What they do is they'll take you to the differences in New Testament salvation in the walk and say, see that? This is different from this. Anybody can see that. Yeah, no one's denying that. No one's ever denied that. And then they want to say, we're following the tradition of the dispensationalists, with faith works, and try to bring up Larkin and Schofield, when he has to admit all fundamentalists, all conservatives, all evangelicals came away from this chapter saying it was faith alone, grace through faith. And then he has to admit, oh yeah, before the law, oh yeah, they were saved by Ephesians 2:8-9, which says without works, lest any man should boast. Oh, but they had their faith perfected. What does it say that? For their salvation, eternal salvation. That was their walk. Oh, they didn't have this, they didn't have that. Lie after lie after lie. In their own writings. So I'm going to stop, put this up, and hope to get some more videos up later. I know I've been out of for a while from making videos. I just got hit with a bunch of stuff I had to do and stuff, and hopefully now I'll get more consistent making videos. See a lot of guys are starting, really doing some great work out there. Max and Phil and Frank and a bunch of guys really filling the gap, and showing the truth and everything. So these guys are really doing a lot of good work, because there's a lot of liars out there. A lot of liars. We live in an age of deception, probably the greatest age of deception in the history of the world, until tribulation comes up. The entire media system is meant to deceive you. The entire system is meant to lie to you. That's what it's set up for. Fake news, get this thing, fake news. The whole thing's fake news. It's all fake, Propaganda, lies, half-truths. And that's what the Buckland system is based on. Half-truths, lies, deceptions, changing definitions, shifting back and forth, sleight of hand, appeals to authority, strawman arguments, using single verses to prove an entire system, built on a side system, contradicting himself constantly in his own reference Bible. These guys always contradict themselves. That's why most of the time they don't take comments. Like Breaker, he won't take comments. Because they can't understand the idea of a ritual, performing a ritual, which is doing something from a work, which is claiming credit for it. They don't see a hierarchical. It's a hierarchical structure. It's a root and the fruit. You see the fruit, you don't see the root. But that's the issue, is to see, when those guys were letting the guy was paralyzed down you cut the hole in the ceiling and the roof of the house when the Lord was preaching. What did the Lord say? I see your works. No, he said, he saw their faith. These morons that say, no, he saw their works. That's what impressed him. No, he said he was impressed by their faith. He was impressed by the centurion's faith. That's what faith does. And that's Old Testament. That's Matthew. God is only impressed with God. He's not impressed with anything man does. God is only impressed with what God does. So when you're doing something and it's from the flesh, it gets burnt up. If the Old Testament saints were doing something that didn't come from faith, God didn't want to see it. He didn't care about it. So Isaiah says, get away your sacrifices. I don't want to see it. They're disgusting to me. Everything they had to do had to come from their faith. It had to show faith. He didn't care about the sacrifices. He cared about showing the faith. And so these guys in the Old Testament, they say, well, God, we're doing all these sacrifices. Look at us, we're doing this. And God says, I know why you're doing them. You're doing them out of ritual. You don't have no faith. Get away from me. They're obnoxious from me. Their righteousness is filthy rags. There's no faith. That's why it's faith alone. In Christ alone. By grace alone. Through the scriptures alone. See, these guys don't like those faith alone, but they'll take that scripture alone, won't they? The sola scriptura, the 5 solas. Oh, it can't be faith alone because no, we have others. It's by grace through faith and for the glory of God. So it's not by just the simple fact that they want to isolate the one soul. It's kept by faith alone. No, there's grace involved. See, the grace is involved with the faith. There's no means which means there's no works. But they'll take the sola scriptura. They'll take the faith, the Bible alone. That's what they use in the King James Bible was their prop. I believe in only King James Bible. Well, where's that in the scriptures, people? Where's that in the scriptures? That's by the Bible alone. Sola scriptura. It's not. It's deduced. But it's not overtly said anywhere that the only source of truth is through the Bible. And the King James Bible at that, for English-speaking people. Where's Brian Denham going to find that? Where does it say? Where does it say the English, the 1611 AV is the one you can use, and believe in since 1611? Where does it say that? I didn't see any scriptures that say that. But it's true. So every time he waves around a King James Bible, where's he getting that from? You're not supposed to deduce anything. You're not supposed to come to a conclusion from anything other than show me the scriptures. Well, show me the scriptures where it says the AV 1611 is the only Bible English-speaking people are supposed to use. Show me the scriptures. There are none. Well, the word Trinity's not in the Bible. You see, a bum is still asking for money. I never get to. I saw that thing with the Book of Leaf had it. Phil. He's talking about, oh, my roof. We live in Maine. Who told you to move to Maine? And that winter's coming. And we have all these things breaking down. Now, and also he had the live stream. He stopped making. Everybody knows he can't handle anything in period of time. Oh, someone asked a question that was off topic in the live stream. Oh my God! Should probably be in the military. So he's a pacifist. No, you shouldn't be in the military. He's a pacifist. He wants the benefits. He's a parasite. He wants the benefits of a free nation. He doesn't want to pay for it. He wants someone else to pay for it, like he does everything else. Someone else has to be in the military to protect him. Someone else has to be manning the walls and keep him safe. Someone else has to be in the police department to keep him safe. He's not going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. So let's stop put this up. Amen. Thank you.